right.
Okay, it's recording now. Let me go. I can send Lucy back to see if she can help you with the presentation.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, how you doing? You ready to learn about prospecting today? Can everyone hear me?
I can't hear you, Bia.
You can, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna share, you guys can see this, but you see the cells on the left side, right?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna figure out how to move that here momentarily. Animation, slide, position. Oops. All right, can you still see the same thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it still got the stuff on the side?
Yeah.
Okay. What am I doing wrong?
Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, but it's much.
You
Sure.
Double click it. There you go.
Yeah, but it's still showing that screen.
Huh?
It's showing this screen with the stuff on the side. I guess it doesn't matter that
No.
much, right?
Hey, Bill, just so you know, if you don't want to see those, you have to do your PowerPoint presentation in full view mode. And if you do that, you cannot see anyone on the screen. It takes over your whole computer.
This is better. Do it this way.
Do it this way.
I would do it the way you're doing it.
You're the
Yes,
best.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Best, I
All
don't know
right,
about
guys.
that.
We are live. Is everyone filing in, it looks like? All right, I'm gonna ask for lots of audience participation here today. So let's make sure that we can quickly access our mute button and mute and unmute each other quickly so that when I say please read out loud, you guys can jump right in and we can save some extra time. Thanks for that hit, Laura. So today is Power Session 2. It is all about prospecting. So let's start off with just a really quick aha from yesterday's session. Are we bringing a new kind of mindset or energy around our real estate business from what we learned from Aubrey's session and Robin's session? Who wants to share how they maybe how their mindset is already beginning to shift? Okay.
Yesterday made us kind of focus on us and our value, what we bring to the table to our clients.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And are you guys starting to work through your homework to really understand how to vocalize that to your prospects?
Yeah, I know I, for one, recognized there's an opportunity to really spend a good bit of time on that and dive into it. And this is the coming week is a great week to do so, you know. So
Exactly.
I know
And with Thanksgiving and the holidays, completely
yeah,
agree. Completely
you know,
agree.
and working on the business plan. So now's the time to kind of sit and marinate in some of the materials that we've been given.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so don't be shy. Jump right in when I ask you to read stuff, and let's see how this goes. Don't forget, all your homework is due on Monday, and you should be reporting into your team captains the stats and the metrics that we are each have agreed and committed to executing on. Remember, that's contacts made, appointments set, appointments held, signed clients, right? Whether it be a agency agreement for the buyer agency agreement, or a seller listing agreement, and then tallying up the number of closings that you have had, okay? So Power Session number 2 is this is just a quick little list of what we're gonna be covering today. Okay, the introduction, the lead generation puzzle, prospecting and how that fits into lead generation, obviously, the 3 steps to prospecting, 3 ways to connect, overcoming the limiting mindset, establishing and executing on your daily routine, all the tracking and accountability, and we should have some time at the very end to put it all together, okay? Put it all together. If you have any questions as we're going along, feel free to chat, to type in the chat box. Can I assign one of you guys to just monitor the chat box and let me know if there's anything that needs to happen or be responded to quickly? Donna, would you be my chat box
Yep,
watcher?
I can do that for you. Be happy
All
to.
right, very much appreciate that. Okay, anyone else want to share an aha from Robin's session yesterday? Anyone else kind of thinking through their business a little bit differently? They've got a newfound excitement around growing their business and helping buyers and sellers and impacting the community. Anyone want to share anything?
Bill, it's Rebecca.
Yes.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Really quick, with going through that exercise yesterday and just with the amount of time, it's making me realize that I really need another person to help on some aspects of things, and it has to do with marketing. And I went through the power session, the prospecting thing today, looking at some things, and it's really making me think bigger. It's not that you can't, it's just I need to find a person to help, and I can.
Yep, exactly. You know, one of the things we talk a lot about is, you know, when we walk in the door and we do the things that we know we have to do, right? We're marketing, we're prospecting, we're following up, we're going on appointments, practicing our scripts and all that. It's going to be a day pretty soon where we wake up and we say, oh my gosh, I'm slammed, right? I got a lot of people that want my attention. And now I have to figure out a way to deliver the same or better quality service while maintaining the quality of life I was seeking in the first place, right? And that is the challenge, right? None of us have ever figured that out perfectly. And the second you do, something's going to change, right? So understand we are building and pivoting again, and we will probably be doing it for a long time that way. What I've said many, many times recently is you basically have two jobs as a realtor. The first is every single day, can you say to yourself, I'm a better realtor at the end of the day than I was at the beginning, right? Am I maybe better at negotiation? Do I understand the market better? Do I understand, you know, better how to deal with people's personalities, whatever it may be? And secondly, do I know more people than I did this morning, right? Are there more people that I might be able to have some influence with so that I can continue to grow my business? So that's one of the cruxes that we're going to talk about today, is really how to expand our influence through prospecting. Okay, so I want to ask you guys, over the last 24 hours, I want you to think about the lead generation that you have done or maybe not done. Tell me a little bit about have you done some lead generation? What kind of results did you get from it? Have you not established the lead generation habit? Give me some of the first things that come to your mind. Go.
For me, I have not. Do you hear the printer in the background?
A tiny bit.
Okay, not enough. For me, I came from the commercial side, and I don't have a network at all for personal contacts, like that are residential related. So I'm basically coming to a new city, which is why I'm taking this class. So I don't have anything. Like, I'm still at that part where I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Like, where do we get leads? Which is why I'm taking this class. Because I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, I don't even know what farming is, because I come from the commercial leasing side, not even sales. So I'm like, what is farming? What is foreclosures look like? Like, I mean, I just have no idea. So I don't know if I'm the only one that feels like I'm coming in new, but I've had my license for 6 years, but I've never done residential, and I don't even know where to start to even get a lead.
Good news is you're in the right room. And the other good news is a lot of the things that you were probably curious about, whether it be farming or expireds or for sale by owners or prospecting or marketing, these are all subjects of either today's class or classes as we continue to move through this process. So today we're going to focus on prospecting. And in a minute, we'll kind of define what that means, how it relates to marketing, and how it can be used to take your business to the next level. Okay. Who wants to share any type of challenges they've had with prospecting or lead generation in the last 24 hours?
Getting people to answer the phone.
Me too. Me too.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think I think staying motivated to actually do the prospecting. I mean, I'm okay with cold calling, but just staying consistent with it can be a challenge.
Okay. So I would suggest that that's going to go back to session number 1, which is really getting clarity on why you're here, right? So if we can connect the emotional of why you elected to get a real estate license with the daily activities that we all know that you have to commit to in order to get there, then, like, I was just speaking with somebody and we were talking about their big why, and literally tears are coming down, right? And when tears come down, when you start thinking about why you're in the business, that's when you know you've identified your big why. And whenever you have a day where there's less people answering the phone, or somebody yells at you, or a deal gets postponed or falls apart or something like that, you go back to the thought of the big why and you'll keep pressing on. Okay. But if you lack clarity on the big why, whether it's time related or family related or charity related or travel related or financial, whatever, if you lack clarity on that, then yeah, your motivation is going to slide a little bit, right? So you get motivated by getting motivated about something that is super meaningful to you. Does that make sense?
Yes. And
Okay.
Yes.
So as we're going through today, I want you to be thinking about what it is that I'm willing to do over the next 24 hours in particular, because we need to, it's going to take a lot of momentum to kind of start this habit, and then it'll take a little less momentum to continue the habit as we move forward. But over the next 24 hours, you're going to be with this new information. This is kind of a perfect opportunity for you to commit to a new skill or a new habit or a new way of building your business that you may not have tried before. So I'm going to encourage you guys in the back of your minds today to be thinking about what that's going to look like. Okay. So remember, in the introduction, you gained a critical mindset of a lead generator. And now we're ready to explore the strategies and focus on sourcing of leads. Okay. Today, you're going to overcome your limiting beliefs about prospecting. And we're going to learn about ways to build meaningful business relationships through direct contact. Sounds exciting, huh?
yes.
All right.
Bill, your spell check is on the screen down in the corner. Thanks. Sorry about that.
All right, guys. I'm not the best at PowerPoint, so bear with me. Let's look at this graph one more time. Robin asked what this shape looks like yesterday, and I didn't get to unmute myself fast enough, but to me, that looks like an empire. Does that look like an empire to you guys? Right? We get to build our empire. We start thinking like a business person. We start identifying in yesterday's session, validity and positioning, why we are best suited to help the people that need us in the marketplace. And today, the next step is learning how to build that, your audience, right? The people that you have influence over.
Hey, Bill, I don't know if I'm the only one. Will you turn up your sound a little bit? Mine's on max, and for some reason I can barely hear you. I don't know if it's my computer or not.
Is that everybody?
You're good
No,
for me.
I can hear you fine.
Good with me, Bill.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right, perfect. So let's talk a little bit about one agent's perfect day of prospecting. So we are on page 10, and I'm going to encourage you to ask that you read Bill Watson of Phoenix, Arizona. Let's just take 30 seconds and read that silently. I'm going to ask you for some ahas in 30 seconds. Go.
Bill, this might be a dumb question, but what are expired and canceled listings?
Expired listings would be a listing where the listing agreement between the seller and the listing agent, right, the period of time that listing was active for has expired, meaning the home is no longer active on the market. Withdrawn listings or canceled listings are basically when generally the seller will cancel that marketing agreement prior to the end of it.
But how do you know when that happens? Is it just like through networking and like knowing
No,
when
no,
they
no,
end?
you're searching through FMLS for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or use FMLS, so that's why.
Yeah, there's an expired listing thingy on the far left that you can sort.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, ahas from Bill Watson. What do you see there? What do you read there? What stood out?
Stay in contact with the expired lister.
Yeah.
But he also has a schedule. It's a routine that he's running every day. It's consistent. It's a routine. It's scheduled.
And it's 5 to 7 hours a day of prospecting.
Yeah,
Right.
he has a system. He has a system.
I think
Right.
also he keeps his big why. He keeps his big why in front of him.
Yep.
And he sold 30 homes in his first year.
There you go. There you go.
Prospecting.
One thing that I see with a lot of agents is that they run what I would consider to be a pretty reactive business, right? They're more in the lead receiving business than they are in the lead generating business. We're going to talk a lot today about lead generating, okay, as opposed to lead receiving. Now, when you're in the reactive business, oftentimes what you don't do is you don't like get dressed and sit in your workspace and like do time block and respect your time blocks. And you're kind of a little bit of everywhere throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, you look at what you did and you say, well, gosh, I didn't learn anything new today. And I didn't really execute on any of my priorities today. I just put out a bunch of fires that were other people's fires, right? Now, it didn't sound like Bill Watson had time for other people's fires in his schedule. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So the biggest takeaway I see here is that this is a man that knows how to control his time, right? Every minute is accounted for, every single minute. He's clear about his commitment because he's got a family and he's got financial goals, right? Now, there's not a lot of agents, quite honestly, that are going to sell 30 homes in his first year, but it's all due to his prospecting efforts. Okay. Any other ahas from this?
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's one for me, Bill, at least there's kind of one that's invisible. To be able to devote that amount of time to prospecting, the reason I mentioned that he has a system is obviously there's some support behind him too, I would bet. For him to be able to do that amount of prospecting and generate that amount of business, he's probably got a team or he's got some people behind him working with him. So he's figured that part out too, in order to be able to have the success he's had.
I would potentially agree with that. 30 units is kind of very close to where I would say like an admin of some sort is definitely a necessity. It could be anything. I mean, honestly, for a while when I was growing my business, I'd create a bunch of chaos and then I'd take a picture of all the chaos and send it to my VA, and my VA would make the chaos go away. And then the next day I'd show up and create more chaos, right? So I wasn't, and you can hire a VA for less than $10 an hour, right? So there's a lot of ways to clean up the chaos, but if you don't create the chaos, you don't have anything to clean up.
Yeah, of course.
My aha was when towards the end when he says, I can't ever stop, it's just what I do. He has clearly formed a habit, and he didn't start off with a bunch of deals. He started off by creating this very healthy habit.
That's right.
Perhaps in the future he did get all these assistants to help, but it was him.
Right. We're going to talk about this here shortly, but what he had at the beginning, it sounds like it's a bunch of time. And what he had at the end was a bunch of money, right?
Right.
And little by little, he ended up selling his or buying his time back by offering another person an opportunity to trade their time for money. You see what I'm saying? So it's beautiful. What we do is we go create so much chaos we can't handle it ourselves, and then we bring on somebody to help us control the chaos. And that allows us to go create more chaos. What I mean by chaos is leads, appointments, projects, promises you've made, etc. Okay. Okay.
And I just want to also point out that he was consistent, you know, like he called the expired several times. a day, like 3 times. He didn't just give up. So I don't know if that's kind of part of why he got 30.
Definitely no.
That's certainly part of it. That's absolutely part of it. I'm hitting the wrong button to move on to the next cell. I'm sorry, guys.
No, just hit the X. Just hit the X. There you go.
I'm hitting it over and over.
Oh, you must have asked for it a few times.
All right, let's go back up here. I'm sorry. We'll get this figured out. No big deal. No big deal. All right, let's move on to page number 13. Page 13. We're talking about, oh my goodness.
Bill, try hitting ignore all.
There we go. All the spelling is complete. All right, I'm sorry. We'll figure this out together. Don't worry, okay? Nope, that doesn't work. Ah, what the hell? Does anyone know how to fix this? Lucy, come save me. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, I'm on page 13. I'll keep working through this, and the slides are not so critical that we can't focus just on these pages ourselves, okay? So
Okay.
page 13. The truth about lead generating is lead generation requires both prospecting and marketing. Does anyone know the difference between prospecting and marketing?
I think we know I do, because I was just.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is one passive and the other, wait.
Yeah, so
One
marketing is
passive and prospective is, for lack of better words, is more direct.
That's a great way to say it. Great way to say it.
The way I look at it is prospecting is one-on-one and marketing is one-on-many.
That's another good way to put it. Yep.
Or prospecting is when you're seeking or searching, and marketing is when you're attracting.
Oh, you're reading ahead, aren't you?
No, I didn't. I really didn't. Where is it? Is it on another page?
Can you read on the top of page 14? Prospecting says seeking.
Okay.
Can you read right what it says right below that?
Oh,
please?
my word. Okay, there it is. Prospecting is all the activities that you engage in to find leads. Prospecting is the lifeblood of the real estate business and involves proactively finding people through phone and face-to-face contact. It is the most immediate and cost-effective way to build your business. Prospecting includes calling for sale by owners, expired listings, and past clients, as well as meeting people face-to-face through door-to-door canvassing and community events, for example. Prospecting is a contact sport. It's up close and personal. We hear this over and over from our research of the top agents. It takes a personal approach. It's about personal relationships. Prospecting is communicating directly with people and offering valuable services. It's picking up the telephone, sending something out, or letting the world know that you are a real estate agent and that you can help them. Some agents mistakenly think prospecting is trying to talk somebody into something, and it is not. If they need your services, you're there to offer that. It's that simple.
All right, wonderful. Who wants to read marketing? Marketing, attracting leads.
I'll read it, Bill.
Thank you, Donna.
Marketing is what drives leads to find you. Marketing attracts customers to you through the use of words, color, and design on real estate signs, advertisements, mailers, business cards, magazines, and sponsorships, for example. You can be proactive in getting your marketing designed, produced, and placed, but for the most part, marketing is a passive, indirect, and costly approach. Marketing can, however, reach a broad audience and tell people about you even when you're not around. When done effectively, people notice you and hopefully will remember you. And I just want to point out that Rebecca mentioned that marketing works when you're not, and prospecting is what you're doing.
That's a good way to, that's also a great way to differentiate the two. So one of the things that I find to be probably one of the most important words in all of real estate is the idea of control. Okay. The way that I would define the difference between prospecting and marketing is through the lens of control. Okay. Marketing, you got all the control on what colors you use and what stock the papers put on and all that kind of thing. But once you send it out into the world, you got no control, right? You don't know how long it stood on that it kept on their kitchen counter. You don't know if it's in the trash can or not. You don't know if you got to send another piece of mail to get them to reach out to you. And it's generally pricey. Okay. Prospecting, which we're going to find here in a second, you get a chance to get an immediate response from people, right? You can get your finger right on the pulse of the market, and you have full control on whether you're going to add that person to your database or whether you're going to have permission to communicate with them in the future. Okay. So I tend to think that if you're going to go out and build your business, if you want to do it in a reactive way, marketing may be where you want to lead. If you want to do it in a proactive way, you should be focused essentially on prospecting. Marketing is a part of it, but certainly prospecting. A lot of agents, they come into the business and they say, well, I've just got to do some marketing and I'll get some more leads. I don't know. I think you need to do some more prospecting, then you'll get more leads. You need to have more conversations. It's not about what kind of junk mail you send people. Okay.
Bill,
Okay.
Bill, quick
Yes.
question. If you, now, marketing is, that's exactly where I'm going, and I know I need to spend some money there. If you had set dollars, where would be the best place to start with that marketing? Where would you spend your dollars for the most return? Could you share some insight on that?
Yeah, there's a section in a handful of slides that it's going to be better suited for me to
Oh, it
answer.
is? Thank you.
Can you, don't let me forget, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's move on to page 15, okay? I want you to look at that graph that says prospecting and marketing. See it right here, this graph right there, see that one? Okay, prospecting plus marketing. Now, let's define a couple of terms. There's haven't mets and there's mets. Okay, mets are, let me give you an example. If I call Laura and I say, hey, this is Bill Linkwald with Keller Williams, and Laura says, hey, Bill, how you doing? How's the family? That's a met. If I say, hey, Laura, this is Bill Linkwald with Keller Williams, and she's like, who? That's a not met, okay? That's the difference. In the new kind of Keller Williams speak, and I'll show you a slide here in one moment, a lead is considered really a not met. They become a contact once a two-way relationship has started or a two-way contact has started, then they become a contact, or in kind of the previous KW language, they would be called a met, okay? So what you're doing is you're combining prospecting and marketing. You're applying that to both not met and met. A not met would be, for example, sending out mailers to a farm, right? You don't necessarily have a relationship with each of the homeowners, yet you're still sending that message to them, to the not met. The hope is that they'll call you and say, hey, I'm a not met. I live at 123 Hill Street. You've been sending me mail for a year. I'm ready to do something. And that person immediately turns into a met. Make sense? Then the haven't mets turn into mets, and the mets turn into appointments. Make sense? So I want to show you this page here. Can y'all see this? This is the new picture. This is not in your materials, okay? This is the new picture of the MREA2 lead generation model, okay? So lead capture is all around prospecting and marketing. The goal of lead capture is to get people into your database. The database is going to be full of both leads that you're aiming to form the relationship with, and contacts who you already have a relationship with. Again, those are the mets. You're just attempting to deepen those relationships, okay? And
Hey, Bill.
all along from
Bill.
section, yeah.
I was about to say, we can't see the entire diagram now.
Yeah. I'm just trying to keep it large enough so you guys can, is that better? Okay.
Great, thanks.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, so section 1, lead capture, is the lead generation section of this. The next section is relationship management. So the tasks of relationship management is receiving all of the leads and contacts that your lead generation activities have created, taking the leads and creating relationships with them so they become the METs or the contacts, using the your communication strategy to strengthen those existing relationships and take them down to section 3, which is prepare the contacts for conversion with interactive and need-based offerings. Those are things like smart plans and neighborhood nurtures and home valuations and webinars and these kind of things, right? And then out comes some referrals and some new business and repeat business. And then you take those pieces of business and you put them right back into section 2, which is the database with new information and the deeper relationship. Okay? That makes sense? Now, an example, a couple of examples I mentioned. One is smart plans in this relationship management section. Can you guys think of any other ways that you might strategically communicate with your database in this relationship management section here?
Holiday, anniversary type cards or mailings.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else?
Share my app.
That's another good one. And monitoring what they're doing on the app. Another great one is DTD2, right? It's a strategic way of making sure that you communicate with your database each quarter. There's also a smart plan for that. Smart plan is the quarterly call. Now, the only problem with smart plans, y'all, is you got to open command to set them up, and you got to open command to listen to what command is telling you to do, right? So the lead domino would not be add everything to command. The lead domino would be open command. You follow?
Yeah, open command.
Okay. So you got to ask yourself, is that a habit that I have developed? Is this a tool that I'm committed to using to grow my business? Because if you embrace it, oh my gosh, the business can be insane. If you do not embrace it, you're going to spend more time than is necessary, and things are going to slip through the cracks. And for those that have been in the business long enough to have something slip through the cracks, it's kind of painful, and it's pretty expensive too. Isn't that right, Laura? You forget to call somebody when you told them you're going to call them, that could be 10 grand right there. Poof, gone.
Oof.
Never to be seen again. Right? Okay, let's take a quick minute on page 16, back to your materials. Prospecting based and marketing enhanced. That is the way we want to build our business. Prospecting based, marketing enhanced. So please take a moment to read those couple paragraphs and come up with your ahas. We'll come back in 45 seconds.
Which page in the thing did you say?
16, right below prospecting based and marketing enhanced. All right, who has some ahas from that? All right, guys, come on, just give me something.
Well, that it's about the layering piece, and I think we can all attest to that in our business, that it's not about one call, that's all, and you never call them again, but calling, then the layering of, then they receive a postcard in the mail, maybe 3 weeks later, then 3 weeks later there's an email. Just that the layering is key.
Yeah, and that could also turn what would have been interpreted as a cold call into a less cold call, right? A almost warm call, because you could say, hey, you're one of my neighbors. I sent you some market stats 3 weeks ago or last week. I just wanted to double check to make sure you got them. Didn't know if you had any questions. I just wanted to reach out today. How are you doing? Right? then it's not, well, I don't want to talk to a realtor today. It's, oh, thank you so much for including me in that, right? I did have a question. Is it true that the average home sold in 4 days? Is that actually true? Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was my listing. Why do you ask? Right? It's just getting into conversation with people, right? Also, you see that they are complementing one another, right? When I show up, people know who I am from the marketing. And that's what actually gets the phone to ring sometimes, okay? Also, in the beginning, you can focus 95% on your prospecting. And the reason why a lot of people do that is because they lack the money to do the marketing, right? Guys, all we have is time and money. That's it. So most agents at the very beginning, they don't have a lot of money, but they got a lot of time. So they use all their time to go find opportunity. And eventually they have a little less time and a little bit more money. And that's when you start to assign tasks in your business to others, right?
I have a question, Bill.
Sure.
Okay, so reading this, it says, they sent out the mailings and then they call them. So they're just calling them as far as like still prospecting basically. So they don't know them. They're just following up and say, hey, you received my postcard, or, just something to that nature. Is that the way I'm reading it? Okay.
Yeah, so you bring up something which I should have said at the very beginning, which is, guys, we're going to look at a lot of different ways to find business today. And what I don't want you to hear is I'm going to implement every one of these. Okay, some of them are geared towards your behavioral style. Some of them may not be. Okay, if you choose 15 of these to implement, more than likely none of them are going to work. Okay. So I would make a list of the ones that are starting to seem a little bit attractive to you. And then at the end, you can eliminate the list from 12 down to 4 or down to 2 or something like that. And you can be the most amazing open house holder ever. And you could run your business completely from that. But if you spread yourself thin and try to do 15 different things, all of them are going to be lousy. Okay. So do you have to send out postcards and cold call the neighborhood? No. You don't. But I go ahead and say this now. When I'm coaching with agents, when they say, well, I don't want to cold call people. Say, look, you don't have to. First of all, you don't have to do anything for that matter, right? This is a very easy, low-paying job if that's what you want, right? But if you want to build a big business and you want to have appointments and income and freedom, right? Then we have to have appointments. So let me ask you, are you on pace for your goals? If the answer is yes, then it's high fives all around. If the answer is no, something with your plan has got to change, because the play that you're currently running isn't generating enough appointments. So I'll ask you, do you want to try harder with that, or do you want to introduce another lead generation strategy into the mix, right? So I don't care if you ever make a cold call. Right. I mean, truthfully, I've probably called less than 20 expireds and less than 20 FSBOs in my whole career. But when they asked me, am I on pace? I said, yes. Right. Does that make sense? Okay, beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to page 27. I'm sorry, 17. I'm going to read this out loud. As suggested in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, even if you lead generate through marketing, you will need a prospecting program to drive leads to your business and protect against market shifts. Prospecting is inexpensive, even free, so it certainly fits into tight budgets, but prospecting also keeps your skills sharp, your finger on the pulse of the market. And if you understand the importance of mastering and building your confidence around a few prospecting techniques, you will surely set yourself apart from the flood of agents who will be competing for the same leads during challenging marketing times. So everything makes sense if you lead generate, because you can go and talk to any consumer and say, look, I spend several hours every day working for my sellers, looking for buyers, and working for my buyers, looking for sellers. Wouldn't you want to work with an agent who spends all day out in the field meeting people, building relationships? I mean, certainly you would prefer to work with an agent that does that, right? Now, what if that consumer went to you if you were in an interview and say, "Hey, show me your calendar. I want to make sure you do enough lead generation to be my professional real estate agent." There's a number of people in this room that would not get that gig. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Right. So if you have that habit, then it's defense against anything that they could say. Right. Well, you haven't prospected or marketing enough. Excuse me. I have spent 4 hours a day looking for buyers for your home. Okay. We're not going there. Make sense?
Right.
Lead generation is a powerful and coordinated act of both prospecting and marketing that requires effort. To have a truly strong and sustainable business, you must embrace prospecting. Get the training you need, practice it, and just do it. Okay. Again, we're not suggesting it's not all cold calls. Okay. Prospecting is simply having conversations with people and determining if there's a way that you can help them now or at some point in the future. Okay. I was speaking to somebody earlier today, and they had recently spoken to everyone in their database, and there was no one currently in their database that was ready to buy or sell anything. Well, what are you to do? You're not just going to wait until somebody from the database appears and says, "I'm ready." And even if that was the case, that's only one check. So we have to go grow the database. We got no other choice.
Right. Meet more people.
Well, more prospecting.
Right.
Combined with more marketing, right? It reinforces the marketing that we kind of went over. So let's move on to page number 19. We've kind of touched on some of these ideas of the benefit of the relationship between time and money, or time and effort. So prospecting is often minimal cost, right? Where marketing could be unaffordable. Prospecting is maximum time, while marketing is a lot of time at the very beginning, but then as Tony said earlier, it goes out to the masses and it's kind of working when you're not working. Does that make sense? Prospecting takes more of your time and effort, but can cost little to nothing because it includes making calls and visiting people. Marketing, on the other hand, can reach more people in less time, but it's more costly. Okay, now, this is a bit of this is a lot to look at. I'm just going to show you one little slice of it right here. Can you guys see this? Yeah. This is the MREA2 budget model. Okay, the budget model will break down all of the costs of sale and all of the expenses. Laura, your eyes are like, woo. Based on your production level. So let's look here at $150,000 of income. Your lead generation budget, right, which is basically made up of listing management, which is probably going to be some form of like contract to close or listing input, something like that, maybe some type of VA. And then prospecting and marketing is 7.8%. That's $11,700 a month. That's almost a year, almost $1,000 a month. So let's say your target is to make half of that. Let's say you want a $75,000 business, right? Are you spending $500 a month in marketing / prospecting, right? That, according to best practices and all of the years and years and years of research that KW has done, that's about where you should be. So if, I don't want to say, you don't have to spend money to make money, but as you're growing, don't be afraid to, buy Vulcan 7 or buy Cole or buy a dialer, right? Or pay somebody to organize a list for you, right? You're a business owner. When you are working in your 20%, you're probably worth around $300 to $400 an hour. The second you divert your attention and start inputting data into your database, you're worth about $10 an hour. Okay, so the next time you do that, think to yourself, am I 80% now, or am I in my 20% now? Make sense? So based on
Bill, what do you mean by pay someone to organize the list for you?
For example, you could pay a virtual assistant to, let's say, look up all the expireds and then put it in a CSV file and upload it to Mojo and basically have it all ready for you so you can sit down and do your thing, right? It's basically admin work, right? So all the time that you're spending getting ready or doing the research or organizing the files and all these kind of things, These are all tasks that somebody else can do. At
Thank
some
you.
point, right? You don't necessarily have to do it day one, but that should be something that the more people really love helping people buy and sell homes, the less they love the back office stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so based on your budget, you have to ask yourself, number one, am I spending too much money, right? Or am I spending enough money? And do I need to work any harder on prospecting, right? So let's move on to page 20, the exercise there. We go to that chart and it's asking you daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Let's take 2 minutes to do this. What is the amount of time you've devoted to prospecting? And what is the amount of money you spent on marketing? Okay. And there's a potentially an aha here, which is number one, are you tracking it? Right? Many of us are probably not tracking it as well as we should. And if we're worth $400 an hour, $300 to $400 an hour, boy, you should be hyper examining every minute that you spend. Right? We are incredibly well paid when we're in our zone. Does that make sense? Okay. And then how much money are we spending on marketing? Do we even know? So let's earmark this as homework. Okay, so if you have to go back and look at your P&L or whatever, P&L is a profit and loss statement. If you do not have a P&L or know what one is, please understand that you are a business owner and that some time has got to be spent in the business being the CEO of the business and making sure the worker bee has all the tools that they need. Okay, does it make sense? Okay, so I want you to identify how much time you're devoting to prospecting and how much money you're spending on marketing. And then I want you to ask yourself the next question. Is your lead generation program prospecting based? And I believe that the answer to that is no in most people's business. And I'm going to encourage you to think about what business could look like if you had more leads. There's really only two problems a real estate agent faces. There's only two. You either don't have enough leads or you have too many leads. Those are the only two problems you have. Okay, there's a great quote. It really should be right here in the book. The reason that agents hang on to customers who are worthless is because they have a scarcity of prospects that came from a lack of prospecting.
That's so true.
Let me read that again. The reason that agents will hang on to a customer who is worthless or not the greatest use of their time, let's say, is because they have a scarcity of prospects, which comes from a lack of prospecting. Okay? If I have one client and he never listens to anything I say to do, and he doesn't follow any of my recommendations, and he's always late and he's a bigot, then that's my guy. But if I got 50 clients that I could choose to work with, and that's how one of them behaves, I don't work with a person like that. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's pretty much no problem in real estate that can't be overcome by finding more opportunities, finding more leads. Okay? All right. Now, page 21. In The Power of One, you learned a basic lead generation myth that if you do a good job, people will just come to you. Your reputation is an important foundation of your business, and certainly some people will be attracted to you, and and certainly some people will be attracted to you and find you because of your reputation and marketing efforts. However, not enough will, and not soon enough, to build or sustain your business. This is a passive approach that may be unreliable no matter how strong your reputation is. Gene Rivers says you can be the brightest, smartest, well-educated real estate person out there, but if no one calls you, it just doesn't matter. Okay? You gotta have people to interact with. You gotta have business people to transact with. Okay? If you don't have anyone to talk to, no one knows how smart you are. No one knows how awesome your website is. Make sense? All right, myth number 1. Who wants to read it for me?
Prospecting equal cold calling equal rejection. Sorry.
Okay, and the truth? What's the truth to that specific myth?
Prospecting equals meeting people and building purposeful business relationships equal a strong real estate business.
Yes, yes. KWRI had a free MAPS coaching call, which basically tells you it's not the mastery clients, right? The poll revealed that 78% of them prospect less than 1 hour a day. And the one reason they gave was they didn't know what to say. Okay.
Sounds like me.
Guys, if you don't know the answer to something, just Google it. I don't know what to say when on an expired listing. I don't know what to say when I make a circle prospecting call, and Google will tell you, right? You can go to KW Connect. You can go to search for script books within Connect. There's thousands and thousands of resources. You just take that one extra step, right? Ask for help. Okay. So here's the thing. You got to get involved in group events, right? Whether it's networking groups, volunteering, got to make a point to meet people every single day. Okay. One of the things that I tend to think about is, and please don't hear this the wrong way, you guys. I know there's some brand new agents in the room. The average real estate agent is just not that good. Okay. They're just not that good. And here's the thing, because we know that 70% of buyers and sellers only interview one agent before selecting that person, then if you let somebody out into the wild to go, quote, find a real estate agent, there's a very good chance they're going to find a poor real estate agent. And because I feel personally that I'm really good at what I do, and I study the market all the time, I understand what to say, I know how to present, I know how to handle objections, I can have the financial talks with people, right? And meanwhile, I think you guys can say a lot of this about yourselves too, then you should feel compelled to make sure they work with you when the time comes, okay? Because if I don't do what I need to do to make sure they end up in my database, then there's a good chance they'll end up in that database of a poor agent. And because there's so much money at stake and there's so much on the line, I feel compelled to make sure that doesn't happen. Does that make sense? That's the attitude that you might want to have when you're making these phone calls. But if you have the attitude of, oh, I'm probably going to interrupt their day and bother them, and I hate when people cold call me, yeah, you're gonna find a way not to make that phone call. Okay. Shout it out if you guys have any questions or disagree with me or want some additional information on that. Okay. Make sense? All right, page 23. Yes. Who wants to read myth number 2?
Prospecting means contacting people you don't know.
And what's the truth?
Prospecting means contacting people you know as well as those you don't know.
Right. Guys, every single person in the world's got to live somewhere. Okay, they're either going to rent it or they're going to own it. And we happen to be able to help with both. I mean, do we not have the best job in the world? Okay. Prospecting is a critical element in building and growing relationships with those we know. Past customers, allied resources, core advocates. Okay. Who wants to read on the bottom of 23, that last paragraph that starts with, there are many examples?
I can read it.
All right, thank you.
There are many examples of very successful agents who in the beginning grew the numbers of METs in their database to a sustainable level and now only prospect to their METs. For example, Dick Dillingham, a very successful agent in Plano, Texas, and dean of Keller Williams University faculty, grew his database of METs from 300 to more than 3,000. He decided to focus only on METs and generate business from those he already knew. In the growth phase of your career, it is recommended you build your database by prospecting to those you don't know as well as those you already know.
That's right. You guys ever heard the line that your clients are your competition's prospects? Okay. If I've got 300 people in my database and I think that they're going to come to me when they have a real estate need, and then I do a poor job of delivering news to them that's relevant, where they could take advantage of something in the marketplace, where they just aren't getting the value that they would expect from their agent, and somebody like Laura Lerman comes in and starts delivering value to those people, she's going to take my database, and you know what? She should. And they should go to her because I'm not delivering. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Very good. Myth 3, page 24. Who wants to read it?
Myth 3, prospecting is what you do to launch your business. Only new agents have to prospect. The truth, prospecting is what you do to keep your real estate business running and growing. You should never stop prospecting.
Beautiful. Never stop prospecting because you always need new leads coming into your business. It keeps your skills sharp and you're aware of what's happening in the market, especially if there's a shift, right? There's an interesting statistic. This is a few years old. I'll give you the newer statistic. When NAR, and some of this data is kind of on page 25, the next page. When NAR asked real estate or buyers and sellers that just finished purchasing or selling, and they said, did you use the agent that you had a loyalty to? They basically 91% of consumers claimed that they had a relationship with a real estate agent. However, when it came time to select their real estate agent, only 9% selected that, used that agent. So that means that 9% or 91% of the people don't even have a relationship with the agent that they're going to use next time. So that basically means that everyone is open. Everyone. Okay. Now, let's move on to page number 25. And I want to explain a little bit about how we're going to increase our database and, quite frankly, if we need to. So let's look at something really fast, okay? Here are some statistics that I want you to be aware of. Now, this is...
you slide it over a little? Or no?
What?
Is this all we're supposed to be seeing?
For the moment, yeah. The rest
Okay, I'm sorry.
The rest is a secret for now.
The secret?
You gotta stay online to see the rest, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so if we know that buyers and sellers are going to choose 4% of the time the agent that contacted them, or 40% of the time the agent that was referred to them by a friend, relative, or neighbor, or only 12% of the time the agent that they've used in the past, where do you want to spend your time? Calling strangers or calling people you've already got relationships with?
Calling people you have relationships with.
That's correct. The only struggle there is you got to make sure there's enough of them to spit out the amount of units you want to sell. Okay, so according to Gary, this is gone from 12 to 2 to 10 to 1, and now he's more like 16 to 1. Keller Williams, if you don't know, is basically a research company. Okay, they are taking the pulse of top producers all across the world, trying to figure out how to deliver the best statistics and tools to us. Okay, right now, Gary's math says that for every 16 people you have in your database that are Mets, that you have a relationship with, you should have 1 closing a year. So if you want 12 closings a year, which is a pretty good rule of thumb for how to make 100 grand, 192 Mets in your database. You want 25 closings a year? You need 400 people in your database. This class is 36-12-3. So what do we need to have 36 closings? You need 576 people in your database that you systematically communicate with. So my next question to you would be, how many do you have in your database? And if the answer is less than these numbers, then you need to grow your database. And the only way that you're going to get a Met is by having a not Met turn into a Met. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't meet Mets on the street. You meet not Mets on the street, and you turn them into Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So is there anybody that has 576 people in their database right now?
Bill, I have a lot of people. When I went to go and put them in command, I put the, like my top ones in there, because there's people in there that, quote unquote, that relationship is not there, you call and, you're trying to get them in there to respond and all of that. But I don't want to goop up that core group with just a bunch of people. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, but I'd like to give you a suggestion. Would that be okay?
Yes. Put them in there anyway and just keep.
Well, put them in there and tag them, right? That's the whole point of a tag, right? So you might tag the people like whatever you use, whatever term you use, like superstar, right? Tag them superstar, and then put the rest of them in there and say future superstar, and then go through the future superstars one by one and figure out who's worthwhile.
Yeah, because some of them, you can have a whole lot of people in there, but that's not necessarily where you're getting your business from. And I'm finding that the ones like you just said, those upper ones, it is not just one person, it's somebody else, because they are always having that conversation. You just don't want to spend, personally for myself, I do not want to spend a lot of time if I'm just going in somebody's trash, because there's not enough time.
Well, so
you're talking about the quality of leads or the quality of the prospect? Is that what?
I think that's what you're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Well, so here's the thing. You guys remember Aubrey drew this picture earlier this week where it looked kind of like a like roller coaster?
Yeah, don't put them in the trash because they're not at that point of buying. And I have relationships with them. I have a lot of older clients and things. They're not ready now. They don't need me right now, but they will in the future. They are in there, but there are some others, because my main lead thing is open house and door knocking. And believe me, that this year it took a hit, but that doesn't stop me.
Well, if it was me, I would drag them all into command. I would tag them all, speak to immediately, and then I would call every one of them one by one, and I'd say, "Hey, this is Rebecca Clemens Nelson, and I'm going through my. I came across your name, and that means that me and you had met at some point. It was probably through.
I know where I met them all.
You might have called me on a listing I had, or you might have visited me at one of my open houses. And I wanted to reach out to you. Number one, how are you? Is everything okay? Right? There's a lot of turbulent times going on right now. Secondly, do you have any goals for 2021 in real estate that I might be able to assist you with? Oh, no, but thanks so much, Rebecca, for calling me. Yeah, that was that house in Duluth. I remember that. Okay, great. And then take that moment to update all the data and then remove the tag that says future superstar and put them in the call in 6 months category, right? So the only way you're going to find out if those leads are any good is to call them one by one.
Right. And to get them on the phone. Oh my goodness.
That's what prospecting is, right? That's
right,
not
right. I think everybody thinks it's political calls, because I've even tried them, in that morning routine and then in that afternoon routine to try and get something.
Look, people are clamoring to have an adult conversation with another adult right now. Okay?
No, I'm just going to keep trying.
Yeah. I mean, look, some of them are going to cuss you out. All right. That's part of the game.
No, those are the Facebook people.
Let them cuss you out then. You only have time for people that deserve you. You're a really good realtor, and you should be selective in the people that you choose to work with. Okay? So if they're going to be rude and snooty, then that's their problem.
Anyway, yeah.
Exactly. All right, page 26. Let's talk about the 5 benefits of prospecting. This is a little bit of a review, but it's inexpensive. It yields immediate results. It puts you in control of filling your pipeline. It increases your confidence and skill, and it yields quantity leads, which yield quality leads. Quantity leads to quality. Okay? If you don't have quantity, you err on the side of thinking a non-quality lead is quality. That's what we alluded to before. You hold on to the lousy one because that's the only one you got, right? But if you have a lot of them, then you're constantly reevaluating the type of partnership you're establishing with all these people, okay? And number 5, it keeps you in direct contact with the market and protects you against market shifts, right? if you talk to more people each day, then you get to know what's going on in the market. Whereas somebody else who doesn't make that a part of their schedule or their routine, they're like, oh, well, I guess the shift started 6 months ago because I'm broke, right? Whereas somebody who's making calls every day says, hey, I'm storing up these acorns because I think a shift's coming because I talk to people all day and that's what they're telling me. See what I'm saying? Okay, let's try to, I'm going to skip a little bit, page 27. Page 27 just goes into a little bit more detail about it being inexpensive and yielding immediate results. Okay, and then at the bottom, puts you in control of filling your pipeline. Number 3, increases your skill. Okay, you'll easily identify where you can improve your techniques through further training and practice. And you will undoubtedly make some mistakes along the way, but with mistakes comes progress. So this is the story that Aubrey was alluding to on day 1. Would somebody read at the last paragraph that starts with, do you recall, please?
Do you recall the lesson of the clay pots told in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent? As the story goes, a ceramics teacher divided his class into 2 groups. One who was to spend the semester creating 1 pot of superior quality, and they would be graded solely on quality. The other group was to produce a large quantity of pots, and they would be graded on the total weight of the pots they created. As it turned out, the group that made the large quantity of pots ended up with the best quality pots as well. Why is this? Because they learned from mistakes and improved their production skills and methods with each pot.
Yeah. So one thing that I noticed, thank you for reading that. One thing that I noticed with a lot of agents is that they work really hard to get that appointment. And then they basically practice their scripts and their presentations and their objection handlers on the one that they just spent all that time earning, right? Rather than practicing when no one's watching, so that when it comes to be game time, they nail the appointment. Does that make sense? When LeBron James shows up for a basketball game that starts at 8 o'clock at night, when do you think he shoots his first shot? 10 minutes after the game started? Or it's 6 o'clock in the morning?
Probably 6 in the morning.
That's right.
I'll say this too, like with me, I can practice all day, but then there's something that may come up that throws me off guard. And I'm like, like I try to, not be so scripty. I want to be authentic and everything. So that's where I kind of get caught, because I don't want to be like feeling like I'm desperate or whatnot. So when you're actually there and you're face to face with that person, it may go a different way than what you think it would have when you're practicing.
Ooh, can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just
we're all jumping on that, aren't we? Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. That's actually part of it. You can practice your scripts and continue to practice them, but where the learning is in doing. And that you're finding these moments where they kind of have a gotcha moment where they say something and you're caught off guard is beautiful. Handle it the best you can. And then afterward, keep going, but then spend a good 30 minutes reflecting, going back through the script. What could I have said then? What will I say next time? Write it down, make your own new script. And I promise you that you will face these again. And the next time you'll be prepared. You're never going to be 100%. And when you get going, just trying this. I can say with FSBOs doing it that I felt that way. And, but each time I thought, well, thank you for that, because now next time this happens, I'm ready. I've got a script for it. And even if the situation was a little bit different, you just get better and better. So don't give up.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. I think at the end of the day, they're going to say something that you're not familiar with or you haven't rehearsed or you haven't heard before. And then you say, oh my gosh, they asked me, well, where was I when that home was listed the first time? I didn't know what to say. Okay, write it down. Go back, right? Post on your, chat with your accountability, right, partner. The presupposition is you have an accountability partner, or the presupposition is you have somebody that's checking in on you, a script practice partner. Ask them what they would do, right? If you don't have one, you should have one. Or post on the Roswell page, hey, haven't heard this one before. What do I do? Right? And you'll have a slew of agents that are ready to give you an idea on how to practice that. And then that's the one you practice over and over and over again. Like there's only, 10 or 15 things they're going to say. You just have to know what to say. And when you study it enough and you practice it enough, then what you're doing is you're preparing for that moment, right? We've all heard Aubrey say, what do you do when somebody says, well, they'll sell the home for 2%. Say, I hear that they're going to sell the home for 2%. Some agents do lower their commission, and quite frankly, they should. Do you mind if I share why that's, why that could be a disadvantage for you, right? It's in his brain. Like he could say that thing in his sleep, right? Somebody could wake him up and tap him on the shoulder. Hey, I want to pay you less commission. He's gonna be like, oh, well, some agents, charge less than they should, right? It's just going to come out of him because he said it 30 million times. You see what I'm saying? All right, cool. Number 4 at the top of page 29, I want to spend a moment on that, okay? The story of the clay pot illustrates that art and skill are developed through practice, but it also validates that quantity leads to quality. Consistent prospecting to reach a large population of potential business can lead to better quality leads. And quality leads are the ones that have a higher likelihood of turning into closed transactions. To the right is that quote I read you earlier. The reason that agents will hang on to a customer who is worthless is because they have a scarcity of prospects. And that comes from a lack of prospecting. I mean, some of us probably could benefit from cutting that out and posting it on their shower wall every day. Right? We're business is supposed to fund our lives, right? We got all the tools. We just got to go do the work, right? We just got to do the work. Okay. Let's go on to the exercise on page 30. Does anyone want to recap something that they would like to share about the benefits of prospecting that maybe they hadn't thought about previously?
Well,
Cheap.
What's that?
It's cheap.
It's cheap.
They
Absolutely.
give you prospecting constantly gives you the ability to sort out quality leads. So if you get someone who's being more difficult or too taxing and it's just more stressful than it should be, you're able to weigh whether or not you want to work with that person and then refer it out,
100%. 100%. I mean, how many pieces of evidence can you show somebody that their house is worth 300 and they insist it's worth 350? Like, sir, I haven't, there has never been a home to sell in this neighborhood for 350. Can you share with me what evidence do you have? Because first of all, I want to see it. And secondly, when we go to work together, I want to be able to show it to the buyer when they think we're crazy. Like, what should we show them? Anyone else?
Increase your skill.
Yes, increase your skill. Increase your skill. There was somebody else that said something, right?
You're consistently growing your database.
That's right.
I
And
like
there's a
that.
mathematical equation to what you can expect in terms of transactions from your database, right? So if you have a database of 200 and you don't take time each day or each week or each quarter to purposefully grow it, you're probably never going to get beyond 12 deals. So if you have a desire to sell more homes or to help more families or to make more money, you got one thing to do, which is grow the database. So you got to get into more relationships. All right, last one. Who wants to share?
I liked that the statement that it's inexpensive and it yields immediate results. I mean, you just can't beat that. Inexpensive and immediate results.
That's right.
It's a great combination.
Right. And it kind of is a little different. We've acknowledged that marketing is important, but in some respects, marketing is the exact opposite. It's more expensive and it doesn't yield immediate results. Right. Most agents that do significant business through farming, it was like 1.5 to 2 years of sending out those mailers before they got anything. Right. Okay, next page. There are 3 steps to prospecting: approach, This is on page 31. Approach, connect, and ask. Okay, when you start, every contact begins with one person starting a conversation. You control the conversation and ultimately the outcome if you make the first step. So how do we have the right mindset about the approach? We're proactive. We don't wait for people to come to you. We're willing to break the ice. We're friendly, caring, and real. Okay, we're curious about them and their concerns. We are ready to give positive feedback. We're confident in our pace and our posture, and we're ready to connect. So let me ask you this. How do we get to be that way?
Practice every day doing it.
Okay, so we're internalizing our scripts. We're role playing. We're putting ourselves in those positions, right? So if you're facing an objection, don't like sit there in your pajamas at night trying to pretend like you're handling the objection. Go put on your work clothes and sit down with somebody else and pretend like you're at that meeting and handle that objection. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else? How else do we come to the approach phase with the appropriate attitude and the appropriate mindset? What do we need to know about the market?
How well it's doing. Like what's selling, what's not selling.
Some real stats. Do you guys think it's a coincidence that Aubrey spends at least 10 minutes team meeting talking about the market, right? And the trends with the number of new listings and the number of pendings and the number of closings and what to say of the party chatter stuff.
And how do you find that?
So every time after the team meeting, he sends out a basically a recap where he has all the slides of the team meeting. If you are a member of the Roswell page or the Georgia Legacy page, there's a lot of images that are posted there pretty frequently about the those stats. There's also I'll show you something really, really quickly. Can you guys see this? Okay, you see this right here, Market Watch. This is on FMLS.com. Okay, if you look back, this is, that was for a particular area. Okay, if you look in the last 3 days, you can search by 24-hour, today, 3 days, 7 days. Let's look at 3 days. This is for Metro Atlanta. There's been 1,189 new listings. Okay, active under contract. So these are the homes that have gone under contract, 697. Okay.
Damn, a Market Watch.
Okay, closed units in the last 3 days, 1,881 listings.
Dang.
Okay, I would look at this. I would spend 30 seconds looking at this every single day. Because if somebody asks, well, how's the market, John? What are you going to say? It's good. I mean, how vague can you possibly get? That doesn't share anything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's good. I mean, gosh, I wonder if any other realtor knows anything more specifically than it's good.
Right.
So how would you share that stat that you just told? We see it, but how would you relate that to the client, to the prospects?
So they would say, how's the market? And I say, the market's amazing. It's full of opportunities for both buyers and sellers. Affordability rates have never been better. Okay, for a buyer, you can secure interest rates lower than 3%. That's basically unheard of. Okay,
you ask them a question. You say, you know, if they ask how's the market, and you tell them, yes, well, why did you ask?
Yeah, exactly. And then you might say, hey, you know, we've got record low levels of inventory. If you've ever thought, like, if you own a home, there's basically two things you should be considering right now, either selling it or refinancing it, assuming you have a job, right? So these are stats that you can just, you know, say off the top, you know, in your day planner, you're like, hey, there's been 1,189 new listings in the last 3 days. And you thought the market was slow over the holidays. My gosh, it's not slow. Why do you ask? Right? So that's just that's market knowledge. Okay. And then of course, focus. It's studying the market. It's really understanding that your time is super, super valuable. And the more you have control over your time, the more opportunities you're going to have to book appointments and make things happen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is, let's see. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, the next phase is connect. The connect step is important to develop rapport with other people. We always come from contribution, and the takeaway that you want them to hear, I'm on page 33 right now, is I can help you get what you want, right? In the course of our conversation, we're going to identify a gap in what you got versus what you want, right? Or there's some problem that's been identified. My house is too big, my house is too small, it's too far from work, my wife doesn't like it, my husband doesn't like it, kids don't have their own room, backyard's lousy, school district's lousy. Whatever the problem is, doesn't make a difference. You can help them solve that problem. Okay, coming from contribution means caring about the consumer or the customer and having genuine concern for solving their problems and meeting their needs. They're truly coming from contribution will automatically warm up every call. Okay, now we are service providers. Okay, this is a really this is not in your material, but I want to share this idea with you. Okay, we talk about this a little in bold, although it hasn't been in the bold pivot. If I were to ask you guys, who is your biggest competition, what would you say?
Myself.
That's a good one. That's a pretty common response. Yep. Who else or what else?
iBuyers.
Okay, fair. Anything else?
The person that isn't afraid to make those phone calls.
That's a great answer. Okay. What if I told you your biggest competition was Amazon? Or your biggest competition was the Ritz-Carlton? What would you say?
How?
With their level of service.
That's right. So let's walk through that example, Constance. Okay. I am, you're a seller and I'm prospecting you to get your listing. Okay. And we have a great phone call and we book an appointment. Now I'm going to come and visit with you and give a listing presentation in a week and a half. Okay. Now, the reason why it's a week and a half is because you're about to go spend a week out in Colorado and hang out at the Ritz-Carlton for a week. Right? Now, when you pull up to the Ritz-Carlton, they've already Google searched you and they got a picture of your family and it's sitting next to the bedside, right? They know what kind of coffee you like and it's waiting for you. They're like, oh, good morning, Mrs. Benson. You know, we know you love steak, so we booked your reservation at the steakhouse, right? You're getting waited on hand and foot. You get up to your room, there's a picture of your family on the bedside, right? And you get wined and dined like that for 7 days, and then you come back home to Roswell, and I roll up to your house for a listing appointment, and I've got mediocre presentation, mediocre organization. I forgot to bring something. I was a few minutes late.
Mm-hmm.
We're not getting that listing.
I see the difference. After they've been spoiled, they're like, no, I'm good.
Right.
Right.
So are we making it a point every single day to increase our delivery of a 5-star experience? Right? Amazon, goodness, I just have to click one button and I can have anything in the world appear at my doorstep in 2 days.
Right.
Like, how are you guys competing with that? Like, you have to wow them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. What materials do we have here at Keller Williams? Like, do we have our branded folders that we can give to clients? And then do we have any type of things that we can put in there to give to them so it looks more presentation-y and we're not just, they feel like they're giving gifts, so really they're getting a whole bunch of vendor stuff?
Well, there's stuff that you could buy. Yeah, there's folders available. There's, you know, templates and designs, and you can customize buyer presentations and listing presentations. And we have, you know, recruiting collateral and all that kind of stuff. But remember that you're the brand of recognition. They're not hiring you because you're at Keller Williams. That only happens 4% of the time. They're hiring you because you're a damn good realtor. And you became a damn good realtor because you study all the time and you have got great resources that your broker provides for you. And you've got a group of colleagues that want to see you win, right? But you're not getting chosen because you're at Keller Williams. Keller Williams is doing all their stuff in the background. See what I'm saying? We're teaching you how to build your business.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Now, is that, so if you want to create some kind of, you know, whether it be client event or any of that kind of thing to separate you from the competition, and to show why it's important to do business with you rather than your colleague, you've got the power to do that. You can create whatever type of thing you want, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to back on that there's templates inside of KW Connect that you can use that are listing presentations, and they're so easy to use. They're set up where you just take out or you just add in your name, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel when you're first getting started. You can use those templates. And somebody in the office like Robin or Lucy can show you where those are.
Right. Now, one thing that's super important is everyone has different learning styles, behavioral styles, personality assessments, all this kind of stuff, right? So when we meet with people out in the public, they hear us very, very differently based on the way they learn and the way they respond, right? So it's important that just to re-comment on something Jerry said a few minutes ago, is those scripts are designed to appeal to all the different personality profiles. So if something sounds weird, it's probably because it's speaking to your subconscious and it's probably supposed to be there. So don't just say what the script says. I know it sounds weird, it's because you haven't said it before. Go say it 100 times and it won't sound weird anymore. Okay. So when you're connecting, you're gonna obviously ask for their name, be curious about them, introduce the topic of real estate. Most of us have been through VOLD, so we understand the concept of Ford, right? It's not about telling, it's about asking questions. Both the buyer presentation and the listing presentation on command, they basically are full of questions. It's very little of, well, I got this award and I sold this number of houses and I'm so great, right? It's how do I win with you? How do I lose with you? How would you like to be communicated with, right? How can we make this a perfect experience for you? What would be most important? And why is that important to you? And if there was one more thing, what would that be? And why is that important to you, right? So you're basically asking them to give you all the secrets on how to support them and make the experience perfect. And therefore, you better listen, because if you don't listen, you're not going to keep the gig, right? Okay, so I want you to spend some time thinking about Ford, family, and these are conversations that you would have, right? You're asking open-ended questions. You're talking about family, friends, occupation, recreation, dreams. Okay. I'm going to read you this paragraph here. This is top of 35. Ask open-ended questions and listen carefully for the response. Remember the adage, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. One of the best ways to show that you care is to listen. Okay. A little bit later, Gary says, Gary Keller once made the statement, I never learned anything while I was talking. Right? That's like class dismissed, y'all. Have a good weekend. I never learned anything while I was talking. Okay. Listen to their answers and comments and remember and write down what you learned so that you can bring that stuff up in future conversations. Okay. So let's think for a second about some things that you might be able to offer or bring up in conversation to introduce the topic of real estate or to deliver some form of value to them so that there's a better likelihood of a future conversation. Let's throw out some ideas.
The app.
Okay, keep them coming.
Killer offers.
Yep. Knock. Seller guides, buyer guides, vendor lists.
MMO.
MMO, that's great. Client events, sales stats and metrics, trend reports, that kind of thing. Neighborhood nurtures. MREI, right? I was once in a class with Gene Rivers probably 7 or 8 years ago, and he said, you should look through your database and every single person that owns a home or bought a home with you of, let's call it $350,000 or more. That number is a little arbitrary, but let's say $350,000 or more. They should have a conversation, a one-on-one about investing in real estate. Hey,
True.
There's a lot of opportunity in the marketplace, and I feel as your agent, I'm obligated to share it with you. I'd like to stop by your house, drop off a book. I'd like to encourage you to read it. And in a month, I want to have cocktails with you and your wife and talk about how to build your wealth. Would that be okay? You have any interest in building your wealth? Yes. Okay. Sounds like we should meet, right? 75% of our country's wealth is tied up in real estate. That is not a coincidence. Okay? Make sense?
Yes.
Now, there's probably some people on this call that own homes that are worth more than $350,000. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Not over here.
Are you getting that message? Is that message arriving? Okay.
Well, what book are you referencing? I'm sorry, I may have missed that.
Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
Okay.
Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Also, as a real estate agent, I believe that it's important that you are able to have those types of conversations, right? So I believe that should be required reading for you.
Okay.
Right? How do I analyze whether an investment makes sense? Do the numbers lend better to a flip, or do the numbers lend better to a hold and fix or fix and hold? Right? Okay.
The one thing would be a good one too for like a for your superstar clients.
Yep. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to skip the exercise on 36. But you can read through, you control the conversation by asking questions and finding out as much as you can about the potential customer. The potential customer is when they are listening to the way that the other person is controlling the conversation. You ever heard the line that the person who talks the most controls or the person who talks the most feels the best about the conversation? Okay. If I go out to coffee with John and every couple of minutes I ask him an open-ended question and get him talking about his family and his hobbies and the things that make him happy, and we part ways, he's like, man, that Bill guy, he's awesome. And he might not be able to quite put his finger on why he likes me so much, but the reason why he likes me so much is because he did all the talking. Okay. Yet I determined what he talked about. Does that make sense?
Right.
Totally true in my experiences.
What's that?
No, I'm sorry. It's totally true in my experiences. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. In my life.
So many agents are successful at approaching and connecting with people. They may have gotten into the business because they enjoyed this aspect so much. However, it's the asking that is so critical. Every occasion should be concluded with the simple question: are you or somebody you know thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate in the near future? Okay. There's, if you watched Bold this last time, there's a gentleman named David Huffaker. He's a mega agent out of Nashville, or just a town a little south of Nashville. And he has this idea here. You guys can see this, 3 ask. Okay. I want everyone to memorize these words, okay? These are the questions that you should have engraved into your soul and be able to pull out at any time that you find them to be helpful. Number 1, have you or your family thought about making a move recently? Number 2, do you happen to know any neighbors or someone from church or work that we could be helping with their real estate needs? Very unassuming, right? Not very salesy, coming from contribution. Number 3, when you think of real estate, who do you trust? That's great question for social prospecting, right? Great question for vendor partners. So they say, well, I trust Laura Lerman. I say, great, Laura Lerman's an awesome realtor. Have a great day, right? Remember, we never talk bad about other agents. Even if I didn't know Laura, I say, I've heard good things about Laura. It sounds like you're in good hands. Have a great day, right? But if they say, hey, honey, what was that guy's name that helped us buy that house? Right? That's an indication they don't have a relationship with anyone, okay? And then you say, I wanted to know if I might have the right to earn the responsibility of being your trusted resource. Would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you periodically and just let you know what's going on in your neighborhood and the market in general? And if you need anything, I'd be here for you. Would that be okay? Like, who's going to say no to that?
Right.
Right? The vast majority of people don't have relationships with people. And you know why? It's because, again, the average realtor is not even that good, right? And they don't have a systematic way of communicating with their past clients or their prospects. So if you adopt those systems and use the technology and you go to work every day, the market is yours for the taking.
Hey, Bill, can you email the 3 asks, the Mets and the have not Mets?
Yes, I don't exactly know how I'll do that, but I'll make sure it happens.
Thank you.
Yes. Is Lucy, are you here? All right. Yes. Nicole, if I forget, remind me, please. Okay.
Thank you.
Remember that it is more important for you to get their contact information for you to give them yours. Okay. Why? When you have the information, you have control over when and how often you contact them. If not, all you can do is wait. Right. So a lot of times, I think Nancy was the one who said this the other day, oh, these agents are so concerned with getting cards. Nancy's been here for almost a year. She still doesn't have KW cards. Right? Like, that's not that important. Okay. Just gave out my last one. Let me take down your information. Right?
Text them right
Because
away.
you also have to teach people how to introduce you. Okay. Remember,
That's a good one too, because I don't know how to
is-
ask for no one's phone number.
Well, sometimes you got to give them something, right? Hey, can I text you my mobile app? Right? Can I text you my lender's information? Right? If you told me you're looking for an investment property, so if I find something, what's the best way to send it to you? Text? Oh, well, then I'll need your cell phone number. Right? It just ask for it, you guys. They're gonna say yes. Just ask for what you want. Okay. Now, refer is kind of an internal term to some degree, right? It's kind of realtor slang. The better word that is more common in the greater community is this idea of introductions, right? I used to have a flooring guy who every single home he went into, he would of course ask, why are you doing the tile, or why are you doing the hardwoods, or whatever. And then the second they said something about making a real estate decision, he would look them dead in the face and he'd said, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, let me tell you something. Do not make a real estate decision without speaking to Bill Linkwald first. Are you clear? Okay. And I taught him how to do that because that works. Him handing my business card and says, hey, this is a nice guy, here's his card, that's going nowhere. Okay. When he says, not only should you not make a real estate decision without speaking to Bill first, the next thing he would say is, right now, I'm going to send you guys a 3-way text introducing everyone. So the second I receive that, now I'm in control. If he doesn't do that, I have no control. Now it's up to the person who he gave my information to. And if that guy ever recalls the conversation when he happens to have a need, the likelihood of me getting a call is next to nothing. I want control. So you got to teach your people how to connect you. Right? That goes for your sphere, that goes for your friends, that goes for your colleagues, your vendor partners, etc. Okay? All right. 41. 3 ways to connect. 3 ways to connect. Calling, visiting, and attending or hosting events. Somebody read me that lowest paragraph that says whichever method. Please start there.
Whichever method you choose to connect with people, the secret is to do it consistently for a long time. When I first started in business as Mary Beth Harrison of Keller Williams Elite in Dallas, Texas, I got all my clients from phone calls and hosting open houses. I did not have a computer, so I kept track of everyone I met on 3x5 cards. If you were one of my contacts, I called you until you told me I could not call you again, until you bought a house or you died.
I know that's right.
Persistent cuss, wasn't she?
What's your aha there, guys?
Wow. Talk about persistence.
Consistency.
You know what my aha is? You don't even need a computer to make enough money for your name to appear in one of these classes.
I know that's right.
Yeah, mine is I'll probably hear from Mary Beth beyond the grave.
Yeah. I literally checked death. It took me forever to get this guy that I helped buy a home a long time ago. I couldn't reach him. And I remember he was in and out of good health. And I finally just Googled, his first and last name and obituary. And I saw that he had passed. And then I took him out of my database, but I wasn't taking him out until I had confirmation of that.
Wow.
Okay.
When
So
I
the-
taught sales training, Bill, one of the things that I taught sales reps is that you have to understand that there's a minimum generally of 22 to 28 times you have to contact someone before you really can get them.
Yeah. Yeah. And the stat that I hear most often with respect to real estate is around 12.
Oh, okay, so it's better. Good.
Yeah. Twice as good, sir. Twice as good. All right. Page 42, calling. Let's see. Most agents have little trouble using the phone to tend to current business and to existing customers by exchanging information. However, some have reluctance about prospecting by phone. Now more than ever, preparation is your friend. The knowledge of who to call, when to call, what to say, and being ready to call will reduce any call reluctance you may have. So if you're afraid to make the call and you say, well, I don't know what to say, if I hand you a script book, what's your next excuse? Well, I don't know anything about the market. Here's some
Right.
market stats. What's your next excuse? Right? Well, I don't have any phone numbers.
Right.
Here's the phone number. What's next? Right? So we got all the resources. You
Mhm.
just got to pick up the telephone. Okay? So who to call?
Got it.
Bottom of page 42. Expired listings, for sale by owners, referrals. IVR is interactive voice response. This is like from 5 years ago. That's like, if you guys remember VoicePad, where basically you'd call, like, text this number here to get a pre-recorded message about what's going on with this property. And then when the person texted the number, it spit out the name and number of the person who did that to the agent, and then they could call and capture that information, right? Websites, METs, etc. The idea is that, remember when you're handling, especially if you're doing Facebook leads online through command, it's a different type of lead, right? Remember, this is not somebody that raised their head and said, I wanted to get called by a realtor today. It's basically somebody who clicked on a picture of a pretty house, right? And so you're generally not going to use the same type of scripts. You might say something like, hey, Constance, it looks like you clicked on a Facebook ad of ours. My name is Bill Linkwald. I'm with Keller Williams. Were you able to find what you were looking for? Right? What caught your attention in the picture you clicked? Not like, send me your pre-approval letter and I'll call you up for a buyer consultation. No, they're not there yet. Okay? You got to start slow.
Mom,
All right. Okay, page number 43 at the top. Who wants to read about Kurt Bueller? Kurt Bueller.
Kurt Bueller of Bueller's and Associates in Flower Mound, Texas, like many other agents interviewed, calls the different types of leads in a certain order. I call expired listings and for sale by owners in the morning for an hour, and then I call around just listeds and just solds. Just listeds and just solds are very warm calls and very easy phone calls. I say, we just listed this home. Do you know any friends or relatives who would be interested in living close to you? Or I say, let me tell you the value of the home so it may help you determine if this is the right time to make a move.
So what do you hear there? What do you hear there?
Contribution.
Yep. I also hear very, very strategic and purposeful behavior.
Yeah, he's circle prospecting with a vengeance.
Yes. And he's probably, the reason why he does, let's say, for sale by owners and expireds in the morning and then calls around just listed, just solds in the afternoon is probably because he either picked it up from somebody who had a lot more essentially at bats in that and tried to figure out what the best practice was, or he himself figured out what the best practice was.
Interestingly, he's doing the tough ones first.
Well, I don't know that, I mean, honestly, you could say the opposite.
Really?
Which is that, I mean, it's kind of arbitrary, right? What's tough? What does that even mean? Like, it's one type of person that has a problem that you say these things with, and another type of person that has a problem that you say these things with. What's the difference, right? The reason why he probably does FSBOs and expireds first is because those are the hottest leads, right? So he wants to get to them before anyone else gets to them. The just listed, just solds, they're not getting any other calls that day.
Yeah, sure.
So those aren't quite as time sensitive. That's probably why he's doing it that way. You know, I also know some people that'll call 5 of their past clients first. So they have 5 really good conversations in the morning, and they get real good kind of, you know, energy and vibe around, you know, their morning, and say, all right, things are going great. Now I'll go call some FSBOs, right? But if they start with the FSBO and the first call of the day says, I hate realtors, yeah, it can take a little bit to get back up on your feet. You know what I mean? Okay. For sale by owners and expired listings are often the quickest way for business because they've already expressed their need to sell. They may not be the easiest, but with planning and practicing, they can be a great source of leads. Number 3, referrals. Referrals are a rich source of business, and a matter of fact, many agents have built very successful businesses around referrals. Remember that referrals come not only from METs, but also from habit METs. Once you get a referral, you'll want to call the potential referral as quickly as possible. And when introducing yourself to the potential customer, remember to reference the person who referred you, then call to thank the person who referred you. So my takeaway here is twofold. Number 1 is you need to have, we all anticipate getting referrals. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we need to have a plan that can be duplicated, that is potentially unique in some way, and the way that we reward our referral sources. Okay, so Julian connects me with his friend Tommy, and I called Tommy and I said, first of all, I'm probably going to call Julian before I call Tommy. And I'm just going to let Julian know, hey, Julian, listen, I know there's a lot of real estate agents out there, and it means the world to me that you think highly enough of our relationship and my work that you would connect me with your friend Tommy. So I am super grateful for that. And I just wanted to express my gratitude. Thank you so much. You know I'm going to take great care of him, right? You say yes. So then I'll pop a handwritten note in the mail and maybe a Starbucks card or something like that, or maybe some chocolate chip cookies that Tiff's Treats shows up at his door later on, because I'm going to go make 10 grand from this. The least I can do is give this guy, you know, $10 or something, right? Now, we don't reward the fact that the referral worked. We reward the behavior. So you don't wait to reward the referral source if and when the deal closes. You reward the fact that he sent you the referral in the first place. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These are, let's skip number 4. Page 45, website inquiries and email. Remember, guys, not many people are reading email anymore. I hate to say it that way, but text has really become a really important way of communication. However, you want to make sure that that's a preferred method of communication for your prospects, okay? One thing that I've noticed is getting pretty good response is video texting, right? So let's say you wrap up an open house and you had a few people come to the open house. Remember, if they came to your open house, they probably came to other agents' open houses as well. So now you're basically competing with any other open houses, other agents whose open house that person visited. So if, you know, 3 days from now, the other agent says, you know, hey, I wanted to give you a little time since, you know, we met, you know, 2 Sundays ago at an open house, and I just wanted to check in to see if I could do anything. I mean, you might get a call that says, yeah, I'm working with Bill Linkwald. We just wrapped up due diligence period, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to be super aggressive with these people, super aggressive, right? So you send them a video text as you're boxing your stuff up and say, hey, John, it was such a great, it was so great to meet you and your wife, Mary, today. I loved the story you told me about your vacation or whatever, and how exciting your trip to Hilton Head next week with your grandkids. It sounds like a lot of fun. When you get back, I would love an opportunity to walk you through the buying process and talk about how I can help you get to Chicago by fall. Does that sound great? And it shows up as a video. And then 3 days later, the other poor realtors will do their mediocre attempt to generate that business when that deal is already done. Because I've done something that somebody else ain't willing to do. Make sense? Beautiful. Okay, page 46, know when to call. The daily habit of calling prospects should be done during the 3 hours of lead generation before noon each day. it goes on to say, like, there's no rule that says you have to do it before noon or before 11 or anything like that. The reason why they generally recommend that is because we all know that our days can sometimes get away from us. And as Melba has said, many of you guys have heard Melba say this, the act of servicing business should never take priority over the act of getting business or finding business or pursuing business, right? So if we don't do it in the morning when we have the most energy, then we are hoping that our day doesn't get so chaotic that we can't find a time to do it later. Make sense? And later in the day, it's going to be harder to have like a longer window of complete focus when you can start getting in the rhythm a little bit. Okay. The more calls you make, the more times you'll be in the right place at the right time. Okay. If you make calls, it works. If you don't make calls, it doesn't work. It's that simple. Okay. I do recommend sometimes, especially if you're calling for sale by owners and expireds, you might want to consider an evening lead generation slot too. So maybe you call one day a week from 5 to 6, another day a week from 6 to 7 or something like that, just so you can catch the people that just haven't been answering the phone. Okay. I want to show you guys this as well. Oh wait, where is it? Oh, damn it. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find that here in just a second. There we go. How's the chat going, Donna? Anything I need to know about?
Nope, we're all good.
All good? Okay, thank you. So there's a, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to need to find this one more time. All right, so I want to show you guys some ratios for prospecting, okay? All right. Just in an effort to make sure that I don't botch the, oh, I figured it out. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Cold direct email or direct mail, 2,000 to 1. This is according to NAR, okay? Cold internet lead generation, 1,600 to 1. Cold calling, 500 to 1. Door knocking, 100 to 1. Personal contact with friends, 50 to 1. Ad calls, 25 to 1. Sign calls, 15 or 20 to 1. Open houses, 15 to 1. Walk-ins, 10 to 1. Past buyers, 9 to 1. Past sellers, 4 to 1. Referrals, 3 to 2. Where would you like to spend your time? Your incredibly important, delicate time? The time that you're spending
Well, if I had
with your
referrals,
spouse?
past sellers, and
Well, you'll get the past buyers and sellers, trust me. I know what you're doing each day. You're doing exactly the right things. You will get there, okay?
What about the personal contacts?
I guess anything below the line.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna point to the referrals. The referrals, you guys are your people know you. Your past colleagues, your family, your friends, your schoolmates, your neighbors, your people from church, your people from networking groups. They all know that you're hardworking. They all know that you're a person of integrity. They all want to help you succeed.
Hey, Bill, I have a question. If
Yeah.
you can hear me. Now, why is it okay to give these huge companies like USAA and Navy Federal a referral fee, and they're not even brokerages, and they're selling, they're writing loans, and you can't give a referral fee or a gift to somebody you know or care about or a past client? I mean, I just don't understand what are they trying to do when they hinder us that way?
So I would answer that almost the exact, I think, of a totally different approach than you're using, which is, here's the deal with lead generation, okay, guys? Lead generation, every lead that has ever been procured in the history of real estate, okay, costs time and or money. And if it wasn't your time, then it's going to be your money if you want it. Okay, so USAA might call you up, Nancy, and say, hey, here's a ready, willing, and able $600,000, Johns Creek buyer. Are you willing to pay 43.75% for the lead? And you get to make a business decision on saying yes or no, right? The reason why you have to pay that exorbitant fee if you elect to buy their lead, which is essentially what it is because they're kicking it back behind the scenes to the buyer. Now, I don't know, I'm not privy to any information about why that's legal or not illegal or why that's possible or not. The fact of the matter is if you don't go hunt yourself, right, then you're going to get whatever somebody is willing to sell you, right? So if somebody walks in the door and says, well, I want to make 100 grand, and the next thing out of their mouth is, where are my leads? That's not an alignment, okay? If somebody says, where's my leads, they are willing to pay somebody to find the business. And that fee is pretty substantial. Okay, you are under no obligation to agree to that. But that's the penalty you pay for having not found that relationship yourself. Now, we don't have to get into the, oh, well, it was my relationship, but then they're USAA. I've been there plenty of times. We don't need to go there. The point is that our job is to foster as many relationships as we can so that we don't have to pay other people for our leads. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Bill, it makes perfect sense, but I think I have more of an issue with, I like Bill, Bill likes me, we were friends for many years, and Bill gave me this lead, his next door neighbor selling their house, and I'm so beyond myself, I want to purchase Bill a big screen TV. Why am I not allowed to do that?
You mean, why am I not allowed to give the referral source a big screen TV?
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it because I'm told not to, but I do get referrals from past clients or family members or what have you. And I want to show them some type of gratitude other than saying, oh, thank you,
We were actually talking about this thing like 2 hours ago. It's funny, this has come up twice today. I might be out of line here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that you're not supposed to advertise, I will pay you for my referral, or free vacation to Hilton Head if you send me a buyer. But if you get a buyer from the referral source, there's something you can give a client gift.
You just can't, you can only write off $25. I thought that's the one point.
Right. So I don't think there's a problem with.
I don't think so either. It's her prerogative. She can do it.
Buying them a TV or something like that. Now that you won't be able to write it all off, you need to talk to your CPA about that. But as long as it wasn't an incentive, I think there's a difference between whether it was an incentive or whether it was a thank you. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And if that's the case, makes everything.
Now check with Mama Melba, because I may not be right. And oh my gosh.
Well, I took Mama Melba's
There's Melba
class.
right there. No, just kidding.
I took Mama Melba's class, and she says, what you do with your personal money once you earn it is your business.
Right.
Right. It's all in the wording. It's all in the wording when you give the gift. This is for the referral. Thank you so much. And it's to protect the client. That's why the government or whoever made the law made it. It's to protect the client so that they're not swayed to pick a less than realtor or a shady realtor because they're offering them money to do so. And, that's why it's in place. It's to protect that client, to not be skewed from well, hey, I'm going to send her all these referrals because she's going to pay me.
Right. It's kind of like we allow you to take a reduced commission, but we do not allow you to market it. It's somewhat of I know it's a little different idea, but it's similar in some respects. Does that make sense? We don't allow you to say, I'll sell your home for 2%. But if behind closed doors at the kitchen table, the seller says 2% and you can't win, you can sell your home for 2%. Or you can receive 2% of the commission rather than 3%. Make sense? Okay, page 50. If you have to leave, I'm going to probably go for another couple of minutes if that's okay. We're running a little behind. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. If you need to head out, I appreciate you being here today. Hopefully there was a lot that you learned. And Robin will be our instructor 1:30 on Monday for marketing. So much of this is in the mindset. I'm on page 50, okay? You've got to decide when you come into work that your time is going to be protected, and you come in and you say good morning to everyone around you, and then you let everyone know you're going to prospect, right? You got to protect yourself. So how are you going to get ready, right? How are you going to protect your space, and how are you going to eliminate distractions? So we talked a little bit about the one thing the other day, storing provisions, right? And building a bunker, right? And making sure that, putting a sign on your wall, look, I'm building my business, right? If the building's on fire, come in. Otherwise, I'll see you at 11. Right? I mean, I'm that serious.
Bill, quick question. Can you announce the homework before people start to leave?
Yeah, great question. Or great comment. So on page 54, this exercise about phone calls and visits, what you currently call and what you plan to do, page 54. I'd like for you to take a moment and complete this. Page 54, okay? There was one other page I said at the very beginning.
Page 20.
Page 20, so page 20 and 54 right now. And then on page 61, I want you to look at that document and fill out what you currently belong to or what you plan to join or, plan to host. Okay. Please understand that you are not going to be able to do it all. Okay. So don't tell me you're going to join a Chamber of Commerce, a Homeowners Association, a Builders Association, Chartmasters, Toastmasters, Rotary Club, open houses, customer parties, do 6 seminars a week. It ain't happening. So pick the one or two that you want to do really good and get really good at it. Okay.
What was the earlier page, 4 or 11?
Which was it, guys?
I just know page 20.
20.
20, 54, 61.
Thank you.
20, 54, 61.
Okay. And the last thing that I want you to do for homework, guys, is on page 71. Okay, your goals and actuals for number of prospecting calls per hour, number of contacts made per hour, number of METs added to the database. Okay. I would venture to say that if you are manually dialing somebody, and you're calling kind of a mix of METs and not METs, you should probably be somewhere between around 8 contacts per hour. I would say that's pretty average rate. Okay, if you're on a dialer, you should probably be double that. Okay.
Yeah, what the last page you say for the homework?
71. 71. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. And one more page for homework. Some of this stuff's going to take you literally 1 minute. Okay. This is one of the most important pages, is 74. Okay. 74 is my current level of GCI, transactions, number of METs, number of people in my database, prospecting calls, visits, open houses, events, all that, plus your goal and the activities that you got to do to close the gap. Okay. So what I want you to do, all of you guys have this material, so there's going to be some stuff that we don't have time to get to, but I want you to understand that you have control over the lead flow if you choose to take control over the lead flow. If you desire a high quality of life, if you don't control the lead flow, you're never going to have a high quality of life. Okay, because you'll always be wondering if the phone's going to ring enough to support your financial needs. Does it make sense? And then whenever it rings, you're going to do whatever you got to do, regardless of any family commitments or non-work commitments, in order to seal the deal with a client that just fell into your lap. Does that make sense? We talked a little bit about preparedness, right? If you're going to go door knocking or pop buys, or even if you're out and about with your name tag on, or a shirt on, right? If I wear this shirt, people are like, what's that? What's that? Right? I say, oh, Labs. And I can quickly tell them what Labs is at KW. And they're like, oh, you're in real estate? Yeah, why do you ask? By the way, when you think of real estate, who is it that you trust? Well, I don't trust anyone. Wonderful. Well, I'd love an opportunity to earn that right. Is there anything I can do to help you today? See what I'm saying? I can pull that out anywhere. I can pull, you wake me up tonight and say, you know, something, I'll spit that right out. I've said it 4 million times. Okay. So examples of preparedness is knowing your market stats. Like we looked at FMLS, right? It's knowing the party chatter that we talk about during the team meetings, right? If you make the phone calls, if you make them at any time, it will work. If you don't make them, it will not work. All right. On page 53, we talk about knowing who to visit. For sale by owners, expired listings, geographic farm, apartment dwellers, corporations, banks, builders. Guys, anybody can serve as a, you know, anybody can be a huge, huge benefit to your business. But if you go at it with, if you approach a person with, here's how you can help me, rather than how can I help you, they're going to choose a different agent. Okay. You got to approach this from a perspective of, look, we're all going through some crazy times right now, right? How are you? Is there anything that I can do to help you? Right? I spend all day talking to sellers for my buyers and talking to buyers for my sellers. I got names and numbers of every home vendor that you could possibly think about, and every non-home related vendor you could possibly think about. What can I help you with today? I'm basically a well-paid concierge. What would you like? You need an insurance agent? Gotcha. Plumber? Gotcha. Flooring guy? Gotcha. CPA? Gotcha. Any other questions? Right? So are you using those opportunities? Right? This is page 54. We talked about 54. Are you going out to call these people? Are you meeting with people, builders, bankers? Right? Are you joining Toastmasters, Rotary clubs? Are you attending homeowners association meetings? Are you hosting open houses? Remember, open houses are good for buyers and for sellers. Some people grouch that, oh, all I got was a couple of sellers that came to the open house, these nosy neighbors. Are you kidding me? That's the wrong attitude, because you did a bang up job at the open house and now you know 6 other people that are nosy neighbors know how good of a realtor you are. That's a great use of your time. You see what I'm saying? All right, is there anyone that supports local charities? Right? How do you share that with others? Hey, every time I have a closing, I make a $20 donation to a local a charity called Roswell Cares, and it supports our agents in need, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, every time you sell with me, I match a donation to a local charity. I make a donation to a charity of your choice, with your name or in your name. Don't you want to work with me? See what I'm saying? If Constance does it, but she does it privately, and I do it and I tell people about it, they may pick me because that spoke to them. You know, so if somebody loves, you know, a homeless charity, great, we'll donate to them. You know, sick dog, cool, we got a charity for that. Whatever speaks to you, I'll make a donation. Right? Let's do business. Anyone want to share any success stories with seminars or classes? Guys, I mean, it's never been easier to pull people together on a Zoom screen than it is right now. I know Donna, for example, has done a number of very successful buyer seminars. You want to speak to that for just a second?
Yeah, yeah, used from KW Connect, I think it is. There's a home buyer seminar presentation. It's a PowerPoint slideshow that's already put together, and I've done a few, and it gets easier each time. I partner with a lender. I've used different lenders. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to connect with people. Even if they're not ready right now, you put them in your database and you nurture them, and they could lead to referrals or to business in the future. So it's a great opportunity.
Beautiful. Remember that when you partner with somebody for those types of functions, now you get exposure to their people, right? If you have client events, see if the clients want to bring somebody that you don't know, right? Nothing wrong with that. And then make sure they introduce you to this new person when you're at the event, right? So who are the service providers that kind of provide ancillary services to what we do? Lenders, attorneys, CPAs, financial planners, investment groups, these kind of things, right? Any investment strategist should be talking about real estate in somebody's portfolio. Hey, I'm looking at your retirement accounts and I see you own one house. You're a multimillionaire. That don't make no sense to me. So I want you to sit down with my awesome real estate agent and they can talk a little bit about investing. Would that be okay with you? Great. Listen, don't you make any real estate decisions without talking to Bill first. You clear? You see what I'm saying? Okay. So is there an organization that you're going to make a commitment to join in 2021? How are you going to expand your reach in 2021? Right? Creative prospecting events, Halloween treats, create a scholarship fund. I think JC Mirabella last year did something like a coloring contest for kids and like gave out some kind of award, right? Put a bunch of people in Zoom together and have a dietitian or a chiropractor or a financial planner or whatever, hire a magician and have the client's kids come on and see some tricks over Zoom, right? Get creative. Okay. We don't have time to do everything, guys. We just got to pick a couple things we really like doing. All right, here's a quote from Gary Keller, middle of 63. The successful ones just found ways to get beyond their reluctance. This is about calling and comfortable with the call. Their end goal was more important than their fear. All right, well, I want to make $100,000 so I can get out of debt and pay for my kids' college, but I'm fearful of making calls. Well, which one's worse? Making calls or not having my kid go to college, right? Okay, they say that, building a big real estate business is stressful, but you know what? So is being broke. So which kind of stress do you prefer?
First one.
Right? So we just have to make a commitment to take advantage of this incredible opportunity we have to help our people in our society build wealth. Right? 75% of the world's wealth, or not the world, I don't know what the world stat is, but America's wealth is tied up in real estate. We are the gatekeepers of all the real estate. Oh my gosh. Gary Keller says when you go on a listing appointment, the first thing you should be asking yourself is, am I going to buy this myself? Or am I going to list it? Okay. Again, you got to have pride in your ability and be compelled to share your services, right? Stepping out of the boundaries of your current comfort zone is the most important change you can make in your business and for your life as a whole. Practice, practice, practice. And ultimately you will see these formerly uncomfortable actions become part of your regular repertoire, part of your successful prospecting program. Page 67 says your time is valuable. Spend it wisely. I was chatting with Cara Epstein the other day, right before she was the woman that did the One Thing seminar. We're friendly, and we were talking about some opportunities with the One Thing, and I used the phrase "spend my time," and she says, "Bill, you shouldn't be spending your time. You should be investing your time." I said, "That's good."
That's brilliant.
Right. So are you investing your time or are you spending your time? Okay. What's your daily goal, right? Have a daily goal for your prospecting. Okay. In our coaching program, we encourage agents to add 2 people to their database every day. Are you willing to make a commitment of adding 2 people to your database every day? Right? If you don't have an active buyer you're working with or an active seller you're working with, I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, our job is to help people. If you got no one to help, let's go find somebody to help. There's nothing else you should be focused on. Okay. All right. Last thing is tracking and accountability on page 71. We got some homework there. At the very bottom, it says, I currently do or I plan to do. Do I have a coach, consultant, or peer partner? I meet regularly with my coach, consultant, or peer partner to review my activities and outcomes. And I have set goals and I believe I can achieve them. So we can either approach this business in a very entrepreneurial way, or we can approach this business in a very purposeful way. Guys, all we got's time. So how are you going to use your time? It's that simple. Okay. When you adopt lead generation activities that complement each other and suit your behavioral style and interest, master at least 3 reliable lead generation activities up front that you will be able to rely on in your business, and track your results with each activity and continue to add activities over time. There's a little calendar at the very last page. Okay. What kind of questions, feedback, complaints, ahas, what would you like to share?
Complaints.
Hey,
You were
Bill,
great.
What? Anything, Donna,
that-
that I missed in the chat? Is Donna still here?
Hey, Bill.
Yes, go ahead.
Bill, it's Diane. I think the classes are great. I think they're always running long. And I think to sit for more than an hour and a half without a break, I mean, I know we can get up and take a break, but it's a lot to digest.
Yeah, we have, this is the first time we've run this program, and it's definitely the first time we've tried to do it online. We are not, we know, and we're experimenting, and we're trying to fix it. And, you know, we're trying to find the perfect balance between making sure you get the content and making sure it's workshopy rather than lecture-like, right? I appreciate that thought. That's definitely something that we are focused on, and we're actually probably not these next 2 sessions because they're already on the books, but the ones in December, we may either have a little bit more time or slightly different formats. So I appreciate the feedback. Anyone else?
So there is a question from Rebecca. If
Yeah.
you were starting to spend on marketing, where would you spend? And she
Yeah.
also mentioned that receiving the packet early to have the opportunity to read it in advance
Yep.
is helpful.
That is something, you should be receiving the packet for Monday's class today. So you will be receiving, that was one thing we talked about this morning, giving you an opportunity to prep a little bit and maybe identify questions that you might want to ask. So marketing dollars, honestly, if it was me, this was a class on prospecting, so I'm going to let Robin give a more of a thorough answer on that on Monday, but here would be my personal opinion. I have probably spent less than $1,000 in 15 years on marketing. Okay, all of my marketing has basically been stamps and envelopes and thank you cards, right? So for me, I used my shoe leather, right? I went out into the community and I found people to impact, and maybe I bought some lists or these kind of things, but beyond that, I never felt it was important to have like my name on some billboard or something. Like I honestly, almost no marketing. Now, Robin will have a little bit different story to share, but don't feel that you have to market. You don't have to market.
And Julian is recommending Facebook and Google ads in command, putting money into that.
Yeah, we're experimenting on that a little bit with Sam and I and Andy and Aubrey and to offer some things through the productivity coaching program, and we're kind of beta testing it now. I mean, we're getting leads for like $2-3 a piece, right? I mean, guys, the average internet lead costs $55. Like that's a no-brainer. Which direction are you? Okay, so Robin is going to, Robin is our coach for Monday. Robin, what should they expect from you on Monday?
Guys, we're not going to do anything except party. Bring your, coffee and mimosas if you want them, I mean, just whatever. Do what you got to do. That's what we're doing. I don't know what you've been doing, but that's all we're doing.
We had some good feedback today, which exactly mirrored what our discussions were this morning.
Good.
That all three of us have run 15 minutes late.
Yes.
And all three of us have basically stopped right where the wrap of everything is.
Yes.
And people want the packet early, which we're making happen.
Yes.
And everyone's enjoying it, I think, right?
Yep, great information.
Okay.
Good. Hey,
Right.
I want to give
Inspire them for the weekend.
Inspire them for the weekend. So here's a great inspiration. All that homework I said y'all had to do yesterday?
Wait, you're not going to tell them they don't have to do it, are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell them they
Yes,
have to do it.
we remember.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. And thank you, Greta, for the text earlier. By the way, it's in what you had asked, what I told you I'd have for you, Greta. It's in your mailbox. Cool. Okay, so here's what your homework is to finish any of those exercises that we did not get a chance to finish. Where you had to do the real estate relevant phrases and things like that. So just finish those. That's not something you have to turn in, but you should finish those because they're going to help you. They're going to help you design and create your value proposition. Your only homework, just for clarity, your only homework that you must turn in, and this is really just to get feedback, and that is your unique value proposition and your unique selling proposition. So please go ahead and have those ready and share with your small groups so that you can get input where somebody says, oh, wow, that's really awesome. I wonder, maybe you should add this, or maybe you should delete that. It's just a learning exercise so that your USB and UVP are what you're going to actually turn in and share with your group. Got it?
Beautiful. Donna, thank you for monitoring the chat, and thank you for posting a couple of the things that I promised that I would share. And does anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
For me, I want to see more marketing based. Will we get into that? I know we're doing prospecting right now, but will we get into, like, I know the first session, it was like more so, okay, we have a schedule. We're going to call people or prospect and everything. Would it be more so hands-on like that, where we get ideas on how to market and reach people?
Yeah, so next Monday is really all about the marketing. So here's what's going to happen. Lee is going to send out that unit this afternoon. So your material for that, I really can speak. And what we're going to do is we would like for you to just review that material over the weekend, because I think what is really beneficial is if you can review your material ahead of time. Looking back on yesterday's content, to me, I think it would have been so much better had you been able to do some of those exercises. So then we could just jump right into actually building your value proposition. So Attica, it's going to be the same thing for your, for this coming Monday. If you can just get into that material.
We're labbing it.
We're labbing it. We're totally labbing it. You guys didn't know you were guinea pigs.
This is 3612-3 Labs.
We are. This is Labs, and we're super excited to be able to bring it to you. But yes, please. So for Monday, we're going to talk about marketing. We're actually going to talk about, we're going to have some examples. But if you could do that this weekend, review that material, we're going to be good.
Beautiful.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys. One last thing that I want you to do before the weekend, or do at some point. Okay. This is a great time to kind of reflect. This is a great time to reflect on, this is a great time to reflect on kind of the status of your business, right? The status of your database. We talked about database size a little bit today. So you got to ask yourself, right? Number one, do I have a database? Number two, is it all in one place? Number 3, is it complete? Is it segmented properly? Am I communicating with it regularly? And you also have to ask yourself, is it large enough to support the business that I want? And if it's not large enough to support the business that you want, there's almost nothing more important than doing some prospecting and marketing. So you've learned half of what you need to learn, and you just have to tune in Monday to learn the other half.
Yep.
All right. We appreciate you. We're so grateful for that you are here. And you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so
Weekend.
much.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.